So now continue our discussion with system privileges. This is again my database, focus 1. In this database there is a user called as A, there is a user called as B, and there is a user called as C. Okay, now user A has been granted a DBA role. So somebody has executed earlier grant DBA to A, and because of that this user A is able to do quite a few other things. What are those quite a few other things? He can create a user, another user. He can drop another user. He can alter the password of those users. So anything related to user administration, he can do it because all the system privileges have been granted to this role, and therefore now they are granted to this user A. What other things he can do? He can create a table space. He can drop a table space. We haven't seen the table space related things yet. But yes, table space management things he can do. He can also take a table space online, offline. All those are special. Those are alter table space commands. So alter table space command, create table space command, drop table space command. So usually three: create, alter and drop, related to table space, related to users, related to so many other different things that can be done by user A. He's a powerful user now. Now what he does, he grants a system privilege because he's a powerful user. Now let us take an option. User A logs in, he is logged in now, and he say grant drop table space, a very dangerous privilege, drop table space to B. Okay, so he has granted that privilege to user B. Because of this privilege, user B can now drop any table space. He can drop a table space TS1, TS2 and all that stuff, a very dangerous thing. But now or maybe create table, let us not talk about dangerous things, create table space. He can create a table space. But now instead of giving just the privilege to create a table space, this user gives him the privilege to create a table space plus something else, and that plus is with admin option and a semicolon. Just like we saw in our object level privileges, one privilege is granted to another user with a grant option. Okay, and because of that, this new user is now able to grant that privilege to certain other users. Similarly, in the system level privileges, a privilege, which is a system level privilege, is granted to another user with an admin option. With an admin option, instead of a grant, though use the keyword that is used is the admin option, and the meaning is very similar. It means now user B can grant this privilege to any other person. So obviously maybe user B will grant it to C, and he will grant it to D and everybody else. So delegation of the authority. This is how it is done. So A grants the authority to create a table space to this guy, and with the admin option, therefore B can delegate it to somebody else. But now here the difference between the with grant option and with the admin option comes into the picture. Now what if user B leaves the organization? If user B leaves the organization and I drop the user B, but still user C will have the system privileges that are assigned to him or to her through B. This is a difference between granting a privilege with the grant option and the admin option. With admin option is only for system privileges, grant option is only for object privileges. Let me repeat that. Grant option, so there is object privilege and the system privilege. For this object privilege there is a grant option, GRANT, grant option. So grant with grant option, and this is with admin option.
Admin option means all the privileges, right?
No. Admin option means it's a simple thing that any system privilege which is granted to this person with the admin option, he will be able to grant that to another user.
No, system privileges, all other, like create, insert, read, all the privileges.
Those are system privileges.
Right.
They should be granted with the admin option.
Okay.
Here it is wrong to type here grant option. Why wrong? Why it is wrong? Because this is not an object privilege. This is a System privilege. So when you are granting an object privilege, you should use the word grant, and when you are granting a system level privilege, you should use the word admin. So this is incorrect. So that's one more kind of point that I had missed in the previous one.
So, and in case if the user A wants to revoke all the grants given to multiple users, means if B provides this to multiple users, he want to revoke all the grants,
then he will have to say revoke command for all those users.
but how can he find to how many?
How can he find? So those are the data dictionary views. Who has been granted what privilege? That can be found from the data dictionary views. So we'll see those data dictionary views in a second. So he will have to, I mean, user A or user B or C, anybody who would like to revoke any privilege from any other user, he will have to go to certain data dictionary views, find out what those privileges are, and he will have to execute the command revoke. That's it.
All the users.
Revoke from all the users, not just from, because now they have been granted, they should be to multiple users, they should be revoked from multiple users. Okay, so the first view, data dictionary views, we have talked about users, we have talked about roles, and we have talked about system and object level privileges. So what are the different views that are related to all this stuff? Number one is DBA underscore users. This is going to contain list of all the users. This is going to contain some important information. The status is where it is locked or unlocked. It will also contain the password, which is going to be encrypted. It will contain the username. These are all the different columns in the DBA underscore users table. It will also contain the default table space. So if you want to find out what default table space has been assigned to user Shekhar, you can go and find that out from here. Default table space, and similarly the temporary table space. Temporary table space, TS. Those things are written inside the DBA underscore users. Any other information? Yes, there is also one more information when the user is created. So you can kind of do some auditing about when the user is created and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. This is the DBA underscore users, list of all the users. Then DBA underscore sys underscore privs. Sys privileges. This will contain two important columns. One is the username. Actually, it is called as a grantee, I think. And then another is the privilege. So which system level privilege has been granted to which user? Okay, which system level privilege has been granted to which user can be found out from here. Okay. DBA tab underscore privs. DBA table privileges. Actually, these are system privileges and these are object privileges. So which object privilege has been granted to which user, and obviously the name of the object is also going to be here, which is called as an object name. So an important column which is there in the DBA tab privileges but not in the DBA sys privilege is the object name. So this is important. And third thing is DBA underscore role underscore privs. The name is very self-explanatory. This view will tell you what privileges have been granted to which roles. What privileges have been granted to which roles. So I think one of the questions that we have here is tell us what kind of privileges have been granted to a role called as resource. So you can find it from here. What object level privileges have been granted to a user Shekhar? You can find out from here. What system level privileges have been granted to user Shekhar? You can find it out from here. Now the same question asked in a reverse way, how many users have the delete privilege granted on the HR's employee table? How many users have been granted a delete privilege on HR's employee table?
DB underscore tab underscore privs.
Tab underscore privs, you will find out the name of the object, the privilege also, and who it has been given to, and who is the owner. So all that information would be kind of here. Now that will not be able to come directly from here, it may come through the role. So sometimes you have to join these tables now here, because the privilege has not been directly granted to a user, it has been granted to a role, and then the role has been granted to a user.
So view can be joined.
It's like a table now. So these things could be joined to each other to find out that this role has been granted a delete privilege on the employee table, and then now that role has been granted to 100 users. So these are kind of very important views from our what should I say, the discovery kind of point of view. DBA underscore users is kind of very important. Now there is one more view now, $v session. Up till now we have seen the views which start with user underscore something, DB underscore something, and all underscore something. Now this is the first time we are seeing probably the view which starts with a $v, and $v views, these are what we call as dynamic views. Dynamic views, they give also the information, it's a metadata. And why they are called as dynamic? Because the information in those views is kind of changing depending on certain activities. Now what is this view for? This view is going to tell you how many users are currently logged into your system. You may have 1,000 users created, and therefore 1,000 rows into the DB in DB underscore users table. But out of those 1,000 users who have been created, maybe only 3 are currently logged in. And who are those currently logged in users? That can be found out from if one user is actually logs out, then in that situation one row will be gone from $v session, and that's why it is called as a dynamic view. Okay, dynamic $v session. So very important. The last one, if one user logs out of the system, logs out of the database, then out of the 3 rows, 1 will be gone. If 2 users suddenly log in, then those 2 will be gone.
You also provide information about table spaces which is online offline.
Yes, so those are different things. Those are different data dictionary views. We will see them during our... No. This is not. $v session is only for users who are currently logged in. That's it. Okay. There is one more thing that I missed earlier. It is DBA under TS underscore quota. DBA table space quota.
Temporary.
Not temporary, table space. So on which table space how much of quota has been given to you? That can be found out from this view. What is it? Okay, so the name of the user. Okay, so which user, name of the table space, okay, and the actual quota, the size. So I think it is in blocks. So I would just type size. Size is the quota. So user Shaker on the table space TS1 has a quota of 100 megabytes. User 1 on table space TS5 has a quota of something else. So those are the things that are there on the in DB underscore TS underscore quota. So these are the data dictionary views related to our system privileges, roles, and all that stuff. Okay, let me make sure that I haven't missed any other points here. Okay, now so we have talked about system level privileges, object level privileges, granting them to each other with admin option, with grant option. All that stuff is there. One couple of things that I had missed earlier about roles. I mentioned that the roles that are already created by the Oracle software are: number 1 is connect, then second one is resource, third one is we have seen DBA, the fourth one is there are quite a few of them, but I'm just mentioning the important ones. There is something called a select catalog, CATALOG underscore role. Select catalog role, and this is a role which usually a DBA can grant it to normal users. Normal users means a user who has been granted only a connect and a resource. All of you guys, when we were doing the SQL class, we had granted only the connect and the resource. So we were able to connect to the database because of the create session privilege that gets granted, and we were able to create tables and certain other objects. But were we able to select from DBA underscore tables? Were we able to select from DBA underscore users? No, because DBA underscore, those are special kind of tables, special kind of data dictionary views. Only very few users have been given access to select from them. This is a special role which Oracle has already created. If you grant this role to any user, then that user will be able to select from any data dictionary view. Any data dictionary view. All underscore, DB underscore, user underscore. So you should grant this to somebody only if you kind of trust them. And usually this is granted to developers in the development database. And then there are two other ones that I'm just going to mention here. EXP full underscore database, and IMP full underscore database. I will just mention these roles right now here because these are kind of important roles. When these these roles are assigned to any user, then that user will be able to take a full backup of your database. Export is a way to take a backup. Export is a backup, and IMP is the import, export and import. So when we will talk about the actual export and import, we will kind of just discuss that, okay, if you have these two roles, you will be able to do a full database export. Now, what is the meaning of a full database export? It's a way to back up the database. Full database means all the schemas in that database focus 1 will be backed up to certain other file. So that is what the full export, and full import is you can import the whole thing. So those are the two roles that I had kind of missed earlier. And now I think we will stop this topic.